'cause everybody agrees.
Hey guys, it's Lilly May coming to you live from Las Vegas.
And it's LindaRose coming to you live from Maine.
So as you guys saw before, we wanted to go ahead and share our latest TikTok with you guys. I so love getting to make this TikTok. I've been obsessed with Taylor Swift's new album. So I'm so excited to get to use this sound. And make sure you guys follow the Orchid Times TikTok for more content.
Yeah, we're trying to post more on there and be more active, which I think we're definitely succeeding at.
Absolutely. And today we have an amazing episode planned, and I am so excited. Today we're going to be airing an interview that we did with Kaylee.
Kaylee is probably one of my most favorite interviews I've ever done. Her whole entire story and everything, what she's done is so inspiring, but also I just loved getting to talk to her, and I think that it was just an amazing interview that we did.
Absolutely. So before we go ahead and air her interview, look at our sweatshirts we're wearing today. We got these from the Orchid Times team last show, and it was so exciting. And for anybody who likes these sweatshirts, make sure you guys keep an eye out soon, because we're going to be releasing our own merch for Orchid Times really soon.
So keep an eye out for that if you want awesome sweatshirts like these.
Yes. So now we're going to go ahead and air Kaylee's interview. Kaylee is a dancer and choreographer, and she uses her platform to raise awareness for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and for accessibility for disabled people. We're going to go ahead and show some of her TikToks, and then we're going to air her interview and show you guys.
Why can't we flex on the world and make them say our name? Hey! Our favorite color's purple. We stay out past the curfew. My kung fu cripple hurts you. Who stayed in trouble with you? You got to strike together. 'Cause we got so much history. Here with you is where I'm meant to be. Even after all the pain, I do it all again. 'Cause we got so much history. We got so much history.
Hey, Kaylee, thanks so much for coming on today to do an interview with us. We're so excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, totally. We're so excited to have you on. We know there was so many issues trying to schedule this, but just so happy to finally be here talking with you.
Yes. And I, again, love the shirt. And I also feel like I missed the red lipstick memo.
Oh, no,
I'm a little sad.
Oh, no.
The whole red lipstick thing is a campaign we started. So, yeah.
Really? Hang on. Excuse me, 2 seconds. Okay. I just need to be a little bit more red so that I can be a part of this.
Oh, yay.
There we go.
Yes,
Okay.
this is so exciting.
Okay, not left out.
Oh my goodness, we're all wearing red. This is amazing.
Yes.
So for the first question today, I wanted to go ahead and start off, since we shared a clip of you explaining a little bit about what EDS is. I was wondering if you could tell us how old you were when you first got diagnosed.
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed when I was 21 years old, although I had symptoms as early as 2-3 years old. When I was 2 was when I got my first dislocation. And then after that, it was always like the weird little things that I had, like joint pain, scoliosis. I would pass out really randomly, and no one knew what it was. But when I was 21, I finally went to the right doctor who was able to put the pieces together. And as you know, it's so hard to get a diagnosis, especially when you have invisible illness and you present as able-bodied. So.
Absolutely. I know I got my first dislocation at 2 as well. And it took me a while to find like an actual physical therapist and doctor that would diagnose me. And I finally got diagnosed at 8.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It's so hard to get a diagnosis, especially when you're young. And kudos to you for being, I mean, exactly as your shirt says, zebra strong from the time you were 8. So I commend you for that.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, I know either misdiagnosing or not being diagnosed at all is such a huge thing, especially when it took me forever to get diagnosed with my disorder because no one I really went to the ER one time and they told me it wasn't a thing. So, yeah, we have some pretty strong opinionated doctors here, but like it was getting misdiagnosed and everything is such a huge thing. I have a few family members that have been misdiagnosed a few times and like were treated for their misdiagnosis, and the treatments they were getting for that diagnosis was terrible for their actual diagnosis. So it's such a huge thing in the industry, but
the medical industry, it happens so often, either misdiagnosis or just neglecting to even diagnose something at all because it's difficult to diagnose or it's new or it could be anything. But I give you all my love too for the things that you've gone through and the people in your life that have gone through this as well. So it's not easy, and it's really, really hard to for me, it was hard to accept the fact that it was medical gaslighting because for so long I thought it was me. And now I'm scared to go to doctors, but once you find the right doctor, you don't want to let them go.
Absolutely. My the doctor I have right now is amazing. Like when I turn 18 though, I get a new one. I'm not excited about that at all.
Oh, no.
I do not want to lose my doctor because she has had like 3. I think she also had a kid that has my disorder. So like she's the one that was like, I think we need to get your blood drawn. Like I think I know what you have. So like it was just like I don't want to get rid of her.
No, you hold on to her as long as you can. I totally get that. I move so often, and every time I move, I have to get new doctors, and that's where I'm at right now in this moment. So
yeah, because like some doctors just aren't the vibe. There's not the vibe you're looking for.
Nope.
Like,
Same thing. I moved 2 years ago, and I haven't found a good doctor here yet.
I'm right there with you where I haven't found a good doctor yet, and I'm just getting new doctors and new insurance, and it's so scary because you think about the things that you've gone through before, but also having to explain everything again and putting yourself in that place where you're making yourself vulnerable to the judgment of someone who is supposed to be a professional, yet you've been judged so often. I know you both can relate to that, so I feel like I'm not alone here.
Definitely not.
Absolutely. So for our next question, there are multiple different types of wheelchairs. I have like family members that have like all different types, so I know quite a bit about them. But this is actually one I haven't heard of, and I was wondering if you could explain a little bit about an ambulatory wheelchair is.
Yeah, so I'm an ambulatory wheelchair user, which means that I do still have the ability to stand and walk in some capacity. Now, what that looks like every day is different, and it depends on the day. Some days I'm able to take my dog on long walks, and I'm able to go to the grocery store and go shopping. And by the end of the day, then I crumble and just lay down. But there are other days where I can barely take a single step. And those days, and really any day that I want to save my spoons and conserve energy, I use my chair. And my chair, for the people who don't understand, I explain it like this. I say, someone who has bad vision, they technically can still see, technically, but do glasses make it better? And do glasses help you? And are your glasses a tool? Absolutely. That's exactly what my chair is. My chair is a manual push chair, and I have rims that are specifically built that help me to be able to push my wheels without my fingers dislocating. Because a standard manual wheelchair on the wheels, you hold onto the bars and you push with the bars, but there's little teeny tiny bars in the middle that your fingers get caught on. And when you have EDS, you get dislocations. Some of us, not everyone. And for me, my dislocations are the biggest issue that I deal with. So everything was thought of when this foundation called Triumph helped me get my chair. And I am really, really, really hoping with this new insurance that I'm going into that I'll be able to find something even better. But it's so hard to get a chair and fight for a chair with insurance. It takes a long time in a custom chair clinic. There is so much that goes into getting a wheelchair that's fit perfectly for you that I never knew or thought about before I had to. So there's all different types of wheelchairs and all different types of wheelchair users, but my chair is the thing that gets me through the day and is my ticket back into life on the days that otherwise I would not be able to leave my home.
Yes, and thank you so much for taking some time to explain that to us, because I know there might be some people watching who maybe don't know exactly what it means to be an ambulatory wheelchair user, so I really appreciate that you took some time to explain that for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I know I have a family member that ordered a wheelchair that's custom to her 2 years ago, and it still hasn't come in yet.
Trust me, I know the life. I know that life. Can you see me better now? Oh yeah, now I'm the full screen. I know that life. I waited 8 months for my chair in the custom chair clinic with my last insurance. And I waited so long that I was using a walker, and I was fine at first using a walker, but I ended up just sitting in the walker the whole time. And I used walking canes, but I would just sit down. And they worked in the beginning for me, but it got to the point where my chair literally became my saving grace. And I would not be able to dance without it unless I was seated on the floor. But even with that, I still getting up, getting down, getting up, getting down is a lot when you have POTS and dislocations as well.
Absolutely. For our next question, this is kind of a personal question for me because I'm curious about it, because I've been starting to look into maybe starting the process of getting a wheelchair for my EDS. When did you know that it was time to start using a wheelchair? And what would you say to somebody that is worried about using mobility aids?
So I knew that eventually I would need assistive devices and mobility aids, just because I was already physically struggling. And the first thing that I used was actually a walker that my friend, who also has EDS, gave me. And it really was the encouragement of other people in my life who had the same condition that I do. And when I met them, they were already wheelchair users. So I watched the way that they navigated life, and we would go out and we would go do things, and we would maybe walk down. I remember walking down to the beach, and I could barely make it 2 minutes on the walk. But my friends with EDS who had chairs were completely okay. And I mean, with EDS, you're never completely okay. But they were able to go down to the beach. By the time we even got to the beach, I was already physically done. And I watched them be able to have fun, take pictures, and they rolled down there and they rolled back and they conserved spoons. They saved energy. And I barely even made it there. And that day was the day that I knew one day I would probably use a chair, and watching their happiness that day made it okay for me. And so as my body started hurting more and more physically, I had gotten a new job and I could not make it through the day at this job, even though I was sitting down. I would go to work, I'd get home, and I would park my car, and I was in so much pain and so fatigued that my boyfriend would come down to my car and would carry me up the stairs into our house. So I knew it was time when I could not physically get through days without needing to take breaks and long breaks. When I started using, my friend had an extra chair and she loaned it to me for a little while. When I started using that, I saw and felt the difference in my daily life, in my energy, and what I was able to give to the world and give to the people in my life. My chair saved me. and it continues to save me on the days that I otherwise would not be able to leave my house. It's my ticket back into life. And it's hard navigating being ambulatory because of the way that society views wheelchair users. Most people, their only experience with someone in a wheelchair is watching someone on TV or in a movie. And those characters are always have some sort of paralysis, and they don't ever stand, and they don't ever move their legs. You could take even Artie from Glee. He wasn't actually a disabled actor, but he not once moved his legs. And that was accurate for the character, but it didn't necessarily give the perspective of what most wheelchair users actually go through. 70% of wheelchair users are ambulatory. And we exist, and we're here, and we're showing people that it's okay to honor your body, and it's okay to use devices that help get you through the day. Like I said, it was my ticket back into life. And I am so grateful for my wheels, and it's been a lot of ups and downs, and it hasn't always been easy, and I still face judgment. I do, but it empowers me to want to teach people what it truly means to be an ambulatory wheelchair user, and that we exist and we're powerful.
Oh my goodness, that was such an amazing response. That was, wow, I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
going back to what you said about the beach, literally sand and hips are a pain. I can barely go on the beach.
No, you can't. And so I found a bunch of beaches in my area. I actually I live in Redondo Beach, which is right obviously next to the beach. And I found a lot of local beaches around here actually have ramps for wheelchair users that go down really close to the ocean or either go to the ocean. And so I started using that, and I went to that beach, and I felt the difference. Oh my goodness, because I mean, I still will want to go to the beach. In most beaches, you walk through the sand, but oh, you get it. You know, it's impossible.
Totally. And that's so great to hear about those ramps. I haven't seen any in any of the beaches I've been to, but seriously, that's amazing. It's so great that they put those in.
They need more.
Yes, totally.
Yeah, I know, especially, this is actually a great question. It's like great lead to the next question. Accessibility for people in wheelchairs is so bad in a lot of areas. I know my grandmother, she can walk, but she needs her wheelchair. She has scleroderma, which is systemic sclerosis. So
my boyfriend has scleroderma, and it's really rare in men, and especially young men. So I know a lot about scleroderma. We are literally the exact opposite of each other, me and him.
yeah,
so sorry to cut you off. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So yeah, so I have to push her a lot. We went to a zoo in Atlanta, and oh my goodness, or Georgia. We went to a Georgia zoo in Georgia when we were visiting Atlanta, and none of their push buttons for the wheelchairs worked anywhere, like at all. And I was so mad. I was mad because my grandmother was mad because like we couldn't get anywhere.
Wait, they had push buttons?
And they didn't work.
Wow. That I never go anywhere that has push buttons here. Not even at Disneyland do they have push buttons on doors. Around Southern California, at least, I very, very rarely see push buttons. So for the fact that they have push buttons and they just don't work, that's embarrassing. That's messed up.
Yeah, it was so bad there. And I know it's a big thing that my grandmother runs into regularly. So I wanted to know what are some things you hope that or want to see in public places for more accessibility for people with disabilities.
If you put more thought into not necessarily just making it accessible for wheelchairs, but making buildings accessible for as many different types of disabilities as you can, then you're being inclusive for people that you don't even realize. As a wheelchair user, I so often, especially around here, run into the issue of inaccessible sidewalks. Even though they have a ramp that goes up to the sidewalk, I still have to pop a wheelie just to get onto the ramp because of the little bump in the road. Every little detail that you can think of it. If you can have a wheelchair user roll into your space and test everything for you, consult the advice of the disability community, because we're here and we want to be thought of. And I know if you asked and sought out people to come and experience it and give feedback, they would. That would mean that you were actually listening to the community and valuing the voices of the people that you're trying to make a difference for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a big thing I realized for people with disability, a big thing I realized has been a big issue is super heavy doors, especially when going into like a restaurant or something. So last year for ELA, I wrote a whole entire essay on why doors into a restaurant shouldn't be so heavy.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
And also the walkways in restaurants are so narrow. Like, oh my goodness, I wrote a whole essay on that. I was so mad.
Yep. If I go to a restaurant, if I am just parking at the restaurant, I will avoid taking my chair for that reason. If I can, I will avoid taking my chair into stores and restaurants and small types of public places, because I already know that there are going to be obstacles that I come across that are inevitable, and then I just get sad about it. So I'm like, oh, I might as well just make myself do it, and then I hurt myself, and it's never good. So these people need to be thinking about these things, because 1 in 4 people are disabled, and you need to make sure that your spaces are not just safe for those people, but also accessible for everybody, anybody, no matter what the disability is. And that isn't just limited to wheelchair users.
Yes, absolutely. I know. I'm in Vegas, and whenever I go to the Strip, it is so hard to navigate all their elevators because they're just so chaotic, and it's not very friendly at all.
Nope. As someone who's taken their chair to Vegas, it's not. No, not at all.
It's hard.
It's real hard. I remember trying to navigate the Strip, and half of the Strip is slanted, and people don't realize it when they're walking, but the sidewalks are all slanted. And so you're fighting gravity as you're wheeling yourself like this and pushing with one hand, and one hand's tiring, and then I'll end up just asking for help. But I've been to the Strips. I love Vegas. I've been to the Strip one time in my chair, and it was really rough navigating my hotel, navigating my casino. It was rough, really, really rough, but I had fun. Cirque du Soleil, though, super accommodating, super accessible. I had such a good time. I took my chair. They bring you a speaker and like set it up right behind you. So then, because there's speakers in all the chairs, that way you still get the same experience, and I love it. Cirque du Soleil really puts thought into their accessibility. That was the one good thing about going to Vegas in my chair.
Oh my goodness, that's so good to hear. I haven't been to Cirque du Soleil yet. I'm gonna have to go though. From hearing that, it's yes.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So, I wanted to move our interview into another little area. I wanted to talk to you some about your dance. So for our first question, can you tell us a bit about how you started adapting dances for differently abled people, and what's your process like while you're adapting the dances?
So I started adapting dances actually during the pandemic. I would sit on the floor and I would watch videos of classes on CLI Studios. It's a popular online dance class program where teachers just upload videos. And so I would take the class, and I would really, really try to do everything standing. And this was now 2 years ago. I could not do it now. But I would try to do everything standing, and then I would get frustrated and I'd sit down, and I might as well just learn the arms. But I started figuring out that I didn't just have to learn the arms of the dance. I was able to find the same lines that an able-bodied dancer could create, I could create from sitting. And so that was really how I started. I was sitting down on the ground adapting these dances online. And then I started teaching dance again. And when I was teaching, I would stand for the first little bit, and then I would start crashing, and I would sit down and I'd teach from sitting on the ground and describing the movement to my dancers. So that was how I taught several classes. That was how I choreographed several dances, was I had no choice but to sit there and describe the movement to them. And that shaped me and prepared me for later on adding in wheels. And when I added the wheels in, I felt like I was limitless and I could create, and I can create anything that anyone is able to do standing. And I make it work and it blends. And the comment I've gotten from a lot of people is that they forget that I'm in a wheelchair, which is really interesting to think about, because for once and for one moment, I'm not being seen as disabled. And that's really hard when you're in a chair. And I've had invisible illness all my life, and now the only thing that makes me visibly disabled is just the chair. It's sometimes you don't want to feel like the only disabled person in the room who is visibly disabled at that time. But when I'm in my wheels, I feel limitless. So.
Oh my goodness, I loved that so much. I know I was watching your dancing TikToks, and seriously, you are so talented. It's amazing. I can totally get where people say you forget that you're using a wheelchair while you're dancing. It's so flawless and amazing.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. It's been a really hard, long journey. So that means so much to me. Thank you. I gave up dance for several years. I stopped dancing for 3 years after I was diagnosed with EDS because I was so sad and I felt my body breaking and I didn't know how to continue to do the things I loved. So, and I didn't see anyone else who looked like me doing it, which is the biggest reason why I post everything that I can for representation, for awareness, for education. So thank you. That means a lot to me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and thank you so much. I know your TikTok is amazing. I was scrolling through your videos when I first found your channel, and I love all the content you post, especially with trying to make everybody feel included. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. So we're all about.
So I wanted to end our interview off with our last question, which is going to be, what does dancing mean to you? What does it make you feel when you do it? Is it kind of like a coping thing? I just want to know what that means to you. What kind of dance has done for you?
Dance is my escape from everything. It always has been my escape from things that were hard when I was a kid, from heartache to just trials that I was facing. Dance was the thing that I could do that allowed me to escape everything and go into another world, and yet it was healing. So when I couldn't stand and physically do it anymore, my escape was gone. And now dance isn't just only my escape. Dance is my conversation with people. And that's what dance is. Dance is a conversation. It's a conversation with your audience. You are storytelling if you're doing it right. You're storytelling the whole time. And now, as I said before, I feel limitless. And so I love the fact that I can continue to not only tell my story with dance, but I can also have a complete conversation with someone just by my movement and escape everything that I'm going through and feeling at that time, and just exist.
Wow, that's so cool. I actually have one more question I want to add on before we leave. This is kind of a fun one. So what's your favorite wheelchair dance move that you've created?
Oh, my favorite is, and I'll send you a video too. I love I do this wheelie. Now, wheelies were so hard for me to get. Some people get them in like 5 minutes, and I'm so jealous, and good for you. I'm proud of you. Love that for you. But it took me 6 months to learn how to do a wheelie. And so when I finally got the wheelie, I figured out how to hold it with one hand. I have one leg that I still have more mobility in than the other. So I'll kick that leg up, and then with the opposite arm, I create a peace sign. So it's just this like extension out with like a leg out, and it just creates this really cool line in a wheelie while I hold it. And I can spin in that too now. So honestly, my favorite dance moves in my chair have been figuring out anything that involves a wheelie. But I also really love dancing in heels. Heels is one of my favorite styles. And what dancers will do is they'll accentuate the lines of their bodies in heels classes. And what I do is I accentuate the lines of my chair. So I absolutely love it. It's freeing and it makes me feel empowered, and my chair is a part of my dance. And that's just my favorite thing that I've been able to figure out, is making the chair almost like another character in the dance. So.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I know the first video I ever saw of yours was your high heels one, the heels one.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that was the first one I ever saw. And I love getting to see the ones that you post of your wheelies. They look so cool.
Oh my gosh. If you get a chair, you hit me up. I'll give you my wheelie tutorial, because it's not going to take you 6 months. You're going to get it in like 5 minutes, like the rest of everybody seems to. And for some reason, it just took me a long time. But I'll teach you all the tricks. I got you. We'll figure out some really cool stuff. By then, I'll have even more. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. It would probably take me like forever, because I'm like the most uncoordinated person ever.
It just didn't make sense to my brain, but it's all about balancing in the right spot of the wheel. And once you figure it out, it's so easy to do. Once you figure it out. But I get embarrassed because we were at Disneyland a couple weeks ago, and my brother's like, I had just figured out the wheelie, so I was doing it all day at Disneyland, probably annoying my family like crazy and making them scared that I'm going to fall back and tip. Which, by the way, practice at home on carpet with pillows behind you before you get confident enough to do wheelies in public, because you will fall. And it happens, and it's fine. It's fine. It happens. But my brother goes, "Can I try a wheelie?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I sat down on the bench, and he goes and he just boop, pops the wheelie. Like, took him 20 seconds, and then I felt so sad. So it can be done. It really can. You're gonna get your wheelie. I got you. You're gonna learn in 5 minutes. I got you.
Oh my goodness, thank you. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming on today and doing this interview. It was one of my favorites we've done, I have to say. It was so amazing. And just again, thank you so much for coming on. I had so much fun talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue to educate people what invisible illness is, what Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is, EDS, and what it means to be an ambulatory wheelchair user. I love my wheels, and I just hope that others love my wheels just as much as I do. So, and love your own wheels as well. Love yourself, love you, and never stop doing the things you love. On your darkest days, in the hardest moments, sometimes your passions and what keeps you connected to you is the only thing that you'll have to fall back on. So even if on the days that I'm not able to, there are days I'm not even able to sit in my chair and dance, I'm laying down in my bed dancing with my hands, or I'm dancing with my eyes. I never stop. It's my escape. And I encourage anybody watching this, or anybody who needs to hear this, continue to do the things you love and adapt and honor your body, but also honor your mental health as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much again. I love talking about all this stuff, and you both are amazing and so wonderful. And I love talking to fellow spoonies and zebras, and I have so much love for you both. So thank you for what you do. You guys are both so sweet and so amazing.
Oh, thank you, and thank you too as well.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Come with me as I adapt a dance class for my wheels. I always start by visualizing dances. I start by observing the choreography and then begin translating it for my wheels. You have to think about things like direction changes. Do you use your arms? I have some mobility in my legs, so sometimes I can kick, but it takes a lot longer for me to change directions in wheels. And my best friend encourages me. She keeps me going. Do I change the direction of my wheels or just change the direction of my body? And before we film, I always mark the dance. Save your swings. And here's the final product. For me, dance is a puzzle. It's a mental game, and I'm absolutely addicted.
Organized a flash mob outside of Victoria's Secret.
Victoria's Secret. She's an old man who lives in Ohio. She was never made for me.
Oh my goodness, that was such an amazing interview to watch back. It was just like, wow.
Yeah, I love that interview, and I love getting to hear her answers to everything. And I think that she's such an inspiring person. And if you guys aren't following her already on her socials, make sure you do that because she posts so many amazing things.
Absolutely. She's so inspiring. She's definitely somebody to look up to. We have her link tree linked in the description too, so make sure you guys go click on the link. She also has an EDS wish list. So if you guys could look at all of those, that would be amazing. She is so inspiring, and I was so honored to get to talk with her for a little bit.
Yeah, this was definitely a great opportunity to be with her, and I'm so happy that she agreed to come on.
Same thing. So just a little recap of a new segment we're doing this month. We are doing a book discussion about female empowerment. And this month's book is Because I Was a Girl by Melissa de la Cruz. For anybody who is interested in reading the book, we have where you can find it linked in the description as well. I know my hardback copy is coming today, and I am so excited to start reading.
And I'm going to do an ebook version because I own way too many books and I have no place to put them until I get my new bookshelf. So I'm going to do mine on ebook, but I'm so excited to read it. And if you guys can, make sure you guys read it too, because on our last episode, we're going to be talking about it.
Yes. And thank you guys all so much for being here and watching Orchid Times with us. I'm actually going to be going live on the Orchid Times page at about 8 Eastern time today. So if you guys can, it would mean so much to me if you guys could tune in.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in today on this episode, and I hope you guys have a great day or night.
Bye. See
wherever
you
you
next
are.
week for Miss Nevada's interview.